What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Stone TV. I'm your host, Stone Hall, and today we are talking about a movie that I considered one of my favorite movies growing up. It definitely was a movie that was always on my TV, VHS tapes. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those movies that I, recommended for my son to watch. He's seen all these movies. He's loved them. Me watching it as an adult, I had to find a reason why this movie was actually good. And it was only good because of one person. And as I tell you this review, you'll understand. So if you've already seen the title of this episode, then you already know what movie we're doing. We're doing Three Ninjas. All right. Three Ninjas is a 1992 American martial arts comedy. All right. The movie is about three white boys who learn martial arts from the Japanese grandfather. Okay. Every summer, the Douglas brothers, 12-year-old Samuel, 11-year-old Jeffrey, and 8-year-old Michael, visit their grandfather Mori at his cabin in the woods. All right. Mori trains his grandsons in the art of the ninjutsu for the whole summer. As the summer comes to an end, Mori ends up giving each of his grandsons new ninja names based off of their personalities: Rocky, Colt, and Tum Tum. All right. Meanwhile, the brothers' father, Sam Douglas, is an FBI agent who stages a sting operation in order to entrap a master criminal named Hugo Snyder in the cells of illegal warheads. Now, unfortunately, Snyder escapes this trap with the use of his ninja henchmen. Okay, he had like some ninjas and shit that, I guess this motherfucker just cool with ninjas or something, right? When you first look at this movie, you're like, how the fuck this ain't got ninjas? But, as the movie goes on, you start to realize that, Snyder is an ex-teacher. Not a teacher, he's a student of Mori's. Okay? Now, up till this point, Snyder is the only thing great about this movie. Right? His presence as a villain in just this one clip shows you that he's not a man to be fucked with. I mean, the man had ninjas falling from the ceiling, and as a kid, I thought that shit was dope as fuck, no lie. I was always one of those weird kids that used to think that the villains in the movie should win and shit. You know what I mean? But, in that scene where he took that one cop and shit and had that nigga by the neck, and then the ninjas came through the ceiling and shit and was beat them niggas' asses, beat the cop asses and shit. He ends up getting away. You know what I mean? I thought that shit was dope. And even as an adult, watching it in my 30s, I thought it was cool too. That, because I had forgot all about the shit. It's been a long time since I've seen the movie, and I had to rewatch it for this podcast. And when I saw that shit, I was like, oh yeah, this nigga had the ninjas and shit. That was pretty cool. You know what I mean? But anyway, Snyder ends up escaping from the police or whatever like that. He then visits Mori, who we find out is a former business partner and a student of his, and puts him to a test of combat by forcing him to fight his ninjas, his ninja army, right? Mori ends up defeating Snyder's men with the help of his grandsons, and then face to face, Snyder threatens Mori's family. He threatens him and his family, saying that if he does not tell Sam, who is his son-in-law, to stop chasing him, he's basically going to kill him and kill his whole family, right? Now, I want to just point out, okay, these kids just learned how to do this ninja shit. So my question is, how the fuck are these little ass kids beat up on these grown ass men who look like they've been training for a long time? You know what I mean? They got the whole little ninja outfits and smoke bombs and all types of shit. And these motherfuckers who learn this shit over a couple of months is whooping their ass. That shit don't make no sense to me. And then not only that, okay, I know I'm an adult, but damn was the CGI bad in this fucking thing. The stunt doubles don't even look like fucking grandpa. I mean, you can tell it wasn't that nigga. And it's just like, bro, come on, for real. You can tell it wasn't him. But, I don't know. I was just like, nigga, there's no fucking way that nigga done all these flips and all this other shit. Come on now. Who Please stop the cap. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody finna believe that shit. You know what I mean? But you know, it was just obvious to me that that grandpa was not doing all these flips and jumping up trees and all that other shit and fighting. He just was not doing that. Not in this scene and not in any other part in this movie. But you know, whatever. The boys end up returning home after they whoop the fuck out of Snyder's men. All right, they go home and find out their father is their father is like not at all impressed to hear or not in agreement. Like he doesn't support the fact that were learning how to fight and learning how to be ninjas the whole summer that they were with their grandpa. Okay, and he's even more annoyed by the fact that they got new names. And he's like, "What the fuck? Why would you change my kids' names? They don't need to do that shit." All right, that's fucking retarded. You know, in this scene, we meet the parents, we see the mom, we see the dad. You know, and you even get like a brief history about like, you know, their grandmother who had died or whatever, you know, and it's the grandpa and shit. One thing about this movie, okay, that I'm going to point out because I have to, nobody in this movie besides the fucking grandpa looks Japanese. Nobody. Okay? The kids don't look fucking Japanese. The mom somewhat looks Japanese, but you have to really be looking for a Japanese, like, you have to really be looking for her Japanese features to even see if she was Japanese. She looks white. And if she's Japanese, she's definitely white passing. You get what I'm saying? Because she doesn't look Japanese at all. And the only person in this movie looks Japanese is the fucking grandpa. So I don't even know how the fuck the mom or the kids or anybody is related to the grandpa other than the fact that they have a picture with the grandmother and they call him grandpa. Okay. I mean, I can see if you've seen this as a kid, you don't think twice about it. But as an adult, you're like, nigga, really? Come on, bro. You know, and you also hear that the dad is like a workaholic. He's damn near like, I don't want to say deadbeat, but this motherfucker he's always working. He's always one of those motherfuckers that like, oh, I got to put my case first. You got to put my case first. Like, nigga, like, I don't know. The dad is like damn near like a deadbeat workaholic ass nigga who don't support his kids learning how to be ninjas, don't support their names. He don't be around for dinner. That nigga don't be around for football games or none of this shit. This nigga just work. He's like, I gotta catch Snyder by any means necessary. Like, motherfucker, you got a whole family, bro. Niggas do not give a fuck. So, anyway, movie moves on to a scene I personally think is outrageous as fuck, but, you know, it is what it is. It's a part where a little girl named Emily, a friend of Rocky's and basically his love interest, compliments him on his new name and agrees to ride bikes with them to school the next day. All right. Snyder, annoyed by Maury's lack of cooperation, develops a plan to kidnap the brothers to use them as leverage against Sam because Maury is like, I'm not helping you. Nigga, I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to help you. You're a crook, whatever. Right? So Snyder's right-hand man, Nigel Brown, contacts his irresponsible-ass nephew, Fester, okay, a petty criminal surfer punk, and his fucking dumbass friends, Hammer and Marcus, to kidnap their brothers, but their plan like gets fucked up because when they try to go kidnap them, the FBI is there, so they they have to fucking they have to plan a different way on how to get the boys. Okay, now to me, so far in this movie, Snyder is the best thing about this movie. Okay, at this point, I want the motherfucker to win because everything else in this movie is dumb up to this point. All right, now again, I'm an adult, so me watching it as an adult, this is just the way I'm seeing it. It's a lot of shit in this movie that's just kind of retarded. All right, but I'm like, yeah, I could see if you were a kid. When I was a kid, I thought this movie was dope. It was shit that you overlooked. When my son was watching it, he did the same shit. But me watching it as an adult, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably not going to be watching this like that, like for another couple of years again. All right. So the next day, Fester and his friends follow the brothers to school, but they end up running into a back of a police car and get ID'd and the whole shit. So they didn't get a chance to again make contact with the kids. Now, while they're riding bikes and shit to school, Emily becomes separated from the brothers and encounter a group of bullies who steal her bike. All right. At recess, the brothers challenge the bullies to a 2-on-2 basketball game. Rocky and Colt, they challenge these bullies to a basketball game. First 1 to 10 wins in order to get Emily's bike back. Right. Now, I want to point out the little black kid in this movie is also the little black kid from Boys in the Hood who played Doughboy, and I didn't make that connection when I was younger, but seeing that as an adult, I was like, okay, my nigga was out here really putting in work. Okay, that's what's up. He played a gangster in one, a little gangster kid, and then he played like a little bully in the other movie. It is what it is. It was cool to see his face in another movie other than, Boys in the Hood. But anyway, so they end up spotting the bullies like a 9-point lead, saying that they will win no matter what, because apparently they think because they ninjas, they gonna win, I guess. Like, they just, and in this scene, it was like ridiculous for no reason. It's the part I'm talking about. It's like fucking ridiculous. Now the boys, they are whooping their ass despite having a 9-point, being 9 points down. But the bullies, they beat their ass and shit, and it gets to the point to where they like fucking, they just making these Hail Mary ass shots and doing flips, and fucking Rocky fucking does this like Michael Jordan dunk from like the free throw line and all of that shit. It was just hella shit that just was not like, it was like an episode of Power Rangers where fucking they're in the park playing basketball and shit, and they're doing all these flips and all the other shit that just don't make any fucking sense at all. And like I said, I guess because they ninjas, they think that, oh yeah, this is just what we do. Nobody in the park, no yard duty, nobody is fucking questioning how the fuck these kids are just doing all these flips this high up and shit. I guess they just got ninja power all of a sudden, right? I also would like to point out that on the cover of this fucking thing, it says Home Alone meets Ninja Turtles, which is kind of weird that that's how they would set this movie up. Ninja Turtles and Home Alone, which, I don't know, that's like a dumbass way to try to say that's how this movie was made, but I guess, I don't really see it. I don't see the Home Alone part. The Ninja Turtles thing I get, but I don't know. I just, whatever. I want to know is just, how the fuck are they this good at basketball? Because, like, even, I don't know no kid at that age who just that good at fucking basketball. Okay. During this whole scene right here, like, the bullies is talking mad shit. Colt is getting hella pissed off. And this is where it becomes good for me. Okay. Snyder and Colt, to me, are the best parts in this movie. Okay. Snyder makes a good villain for him being, the 90s villain and shit like that. He makes a good villain. But Colt is the hothead. He's the one that wants all the fucking smoke, right? So these bullies are talking hella shit, and Rocky's like telling them, yo, calm down. And fucking Colt is like, no, fuck this shit. We be whooping their ass right now. This nigga had like Uncle Elroy fucking energy. Like, this nigga was like, bro, we fuck all this shit. We whooping this nigga's asses right now. Fuck all this basketball shit. You know what I'm saying? Fuck all that. But, it's just that, I don't know. It was, to me, Colt is like the best part of this fucking movie. He's definitely my favorite out of the three. You know what I mean? And as a kid, I mean, I'm just saying, okay, don't like try to call the cops on me or anything, but as a kid, I never understood what the attraction was for Emily. She wasn't even cute to me as a kid, and she damn sure not cute to me now. So I'm not even understanding what the whole hype behind Rocky trying to be attached to her like that. But, I don't know. It's hella funny to me that they could have chose a better looking kid. That's all I'm saying. Whatever. Moving on. Later that night, Later that night, after going through his dad's stuff, like his dad's office and the shit, Colt learns that Snyder is the criminal that their father is pursuing, and he recognizes him from the photo on his father's desk as the man who showed up at his grandpa's cabin, during the summer. And he tells his brothers or whatever, and they're all like, "How do you know?" And he shows them the picture, and he was like, "Yo, him and Grandpa used to be friends. Grandpa's a crook." Colt is like, "Yo, we can't trust this nigga, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Grandpa ain't tell us none of this shit." They was over there laughing and giggling and the whole shit. Like, nah, bro. Like, Grandpa's snake for real. Like, you know what I mean? He can't be trusted. And Rocky's like, "You don't even know the whole story." Colt is like, "Nigga, I don't need to know those stories." Basically, like, this nigga a snake, bro. We can't fuck with this nigga, man. And they going back and forth on the shit. The little babysitter downstairs because their parents don't took off his shit again. Dad don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Mom and dad don't went out and they got a little babysitter at the house, and the brothers upstairs arguing over whether or not Grandpa a crook or not, right? And while they doing that, you know what I'm saying, Fester and his friends, they break into the house disguised as pizza delivery drivers, and they basically fucking shove. Well, they know basically they shove hella pizza in the fucking babysitter's face and then push her in the fucking closet and shit. And it's like, "Yo, we out of here, man." But they sneak in, push the bitch in the closet, and then sit down and start eating pizza and shit. Like, what kind of fucking kidnappers do that shit? Like, who the fuck does that shit? It makes no sense, believing it to be like a home invasion and shit, right? The brothers suit up in their ninja gear and fight back towards, Fester and his homies and shit. They end up fighting back using the surroundings and, numerous household items and shit. Spiking their drink with laxatives and shit, beating their asses with fucking, they whooping these niggas' ass. Like, I ain't even gonna lie, this scene was hella dope to me. Like, they was fucking them niggas up. Even, I thought it was dope as a kid, and I think it's even better as an adult. They fucking these niggas up, you know what I'm saying? And again, I don't see how the hell just over the summer they're this good, but hey, whatever. Colt, like I'm saying, Colt is fucking niggas up. Rocky is dope too. Tum Tum is cool too, but yeah, Colt fucking niggas up, bro. He ain't stopped fucking niggas up since that nigga learned how to fight. So it is what it is. There's a dope ass scene. They was beating the brakes off these niggas, man, to me. You know what I'm saying? Now, I would like to point out, okay, that I didn't mention this, that while they're doing their whole little thing in the room and shit, they're doing all this arguing and shit, Emily, I guess, lives next door or something. These motherfuckers don't made, like, remember a time where they used to say if you hook up a can and a string, you could talk through the can and the whole shit? These motherfuckers don't made a homemade phone with cans, and then he's talking to the girl through the fucking can, through the rope across the fucking way to her house and shit. And I'm just like, again, as a kid, I can see that. As an adult, how the fuck are they talking to a can? Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm just like, my son, when I told my son that shit, he was like, it's possible. I'm like, you know what, son? It is. I ain't even feeling fuck with your imagination like that. It's definitely possible. Like, nigga, it is not possible. Like, as soon as he walked away, I looked at his mom and was like, it's not possible, bro. Like, I don't know. It's not possible, man. After regrouping, after they beat the brakes off for Festa and them niggas or whatever with the laxatives and the shit, right? After regrouping in the boys' room, Festa uses Rocky's homemade canned phone to call Emily over, and then they take her as hostage so that the boys will come out and they can be able to kidnap him and the whole shit. But the boys are they too smart for that shit. They end up whooping their ass some more, okay, and they end up freeing her, getting her up out of the crib and shit, and then they free the babysitter from the closet, right? Now, while they're sitting there talking to the babysitter in the closet and shit, they're like, "Yo, we got this shit. Don't even worry about it. We whooped them niggas' asses, bro. It's good." The fucking Snyder's bodyguard, I guess his name was Rushmore or some shit. He come in and he tried to take them niggas captives again. my nigga Colt want all the smoke. That nigga straight up start firing on this nigga immediately. Kick this nigga all in his shit. And, you know, the Rushmore, like this big ass nigga, right? He grabbed this nigga, have him hanging upside down. And, you know, that was the end of that, right? And so he take him back to his ship and whatever and had them niggas captured or whatever, right? So while they on the ship, you know, the mom and dad, they show up, you know, cops all outside, you know, Emily telling them what happened, the babysitter telling them what happened and shit, and Grandpa show up in full sword and ninja gear, and the whole shit was like, yo, I'm finna go get my grandsons back. And it's like, bro, you know this is a movie, because if this was a real life, they would have shot the fuck out that nigga for walking up with a sword like that. But, you know, and they damn near was gonna shoot that nigga too until the dad was like, no. Like, you know, that's my father-in-law and shit. But the cops instantly pulled out the guns, was finna smack that nigga. But, you know, it was Grandpa with the sword and, you know what I mean, the ninja shit. So he was like, yo, I'm finna go get my grandsons back. Give me about an hour. I go get them niggas. And it's good. You know what I mean? So Grandpa take off to the ship, go get the niggas. While Grandpa's in transit, while he on his way, the brothers escape, and they managed to, you know, they end up coming face to face with Rushmore again, right? Now, this time, you know, they surrounded by hella ninjas and shit. Again, in this scene, my nigga Colt beating the brakes off niggas the whole time, though. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, the brothers is putting in work, though, too. Colt, like Rocky and Tum Tum, they putting in work. But my nigga Colt, though, that nigga, he fucking niggas up the whole way, bro. This nigga just wanted all the smoke, bro. He don't give a fuck. Like, he whooping niggas' asses, bro. Okay, Grandpa show up and shit, and Colt's like, bro, we can't trust this nigga, bro. This nigga a snake, bro. You know what I'm saying? And Rocky's all like, he Grandpa. He's like, I don't give a fuck who it is, bro. We don't know if we can trust this nigga, right? And like I said, bro, it was just like the whole little boat scene is kind of fly, though. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, my nigga Colt was fucking niggas up, though. You feel me? So the brother ended up escaping the shit. They run into Rushmore, right? And they beat the brakes off for that nigga, hitting his pressure points and shit, tear that nigga down and shit. And then like I said, Grandpa comes in, infiltrates the ship to try to rescue the brothers and the whole shit, right? Snyder then shows up, surrounds all them niggas on the mat. They on like this little ninja mat and whatnot. They surround everybody. Snyder confronts Maury and challenges him to a fight for the brothers' freedom. Okay? Now, they going hand to hand. Grandpa getting his ass whooped because, like I said, there's just no way he's doing all this shit, right? So he getting his ass whooped, okay? And then he ended up taking, due to his youth, due to Snyder being younger and a lot faster, and he had like some hidden pepper bombs and shit, he ends up gaining the upper hand against the Grandpa. Like I said, he's whooping that nigga ass at this point, right? His nigga all bleeding from the mouth and the whole shit. And, he whooping this nigga ass or whatever like that. He finna, game over for this nigga, right? He go over there, he do the whole villain shit, talking all in his face and shit, gonna strike him with the last hit. Grandpa take some jelly beans and shit, right? I guess Tum Tum handed this nigga some jelly beans on the low. This nigga put the jelly beans in his mouth and shit. Now this nigga go to choking on the jelly beans and shit. And fucking, and Grandpa start beating the brakes off this nigga because he choking on candy and shit. He beat the brakes off of that nigga, and then that's just where it's at. My whole part about how he beat that nigga Snyder was like, really, nigga? Jelly beans for real, bro? You whooped this nigga ass with jelly beans? This nigga was beating the brakes off your ass the whole time, and you choked this nigga out with some jelly beans, and then now all of a sudden you winning and shit. Come on, bro. Nah, but my nigga Snyder though wasn't going out like that though. He was like, nah, fuck that shit. This nigga Snyder was hella mad. This nigga Snyder grabbed a gun, was like, nigga, I'm finna shoot everybody in this bitch. He get the pointing the gun and shit, was finna let off on all four of them niggas. And then the dad showed up, shot that nigga in the arm and shit. And then Snyder loses, okay? Dad get his villain. The boys are safe, and everybody just kind of go about their way, go live happily ever after. They like to go eat pizza and shit. Grandpa can't stand that shit. That nigga hate pizza, but them niggas end up, they end up going free. Grandpa saved them niggas. They beat Snyder, and that's basically how that whole movie go. Right now, my thoughts about this movie, right after after watching it, like I said, as a kid, 100% this movie is the shit, right? As an adult, it's kind of one of those movies that, you would hope you don't outgrow, but I guess I did. So it's like one of those movies that, it's not going to be on my TV screen like that, but I do have it in my collection of movies because I do remember me enjoying those movies, and for the nostalgia, from a nostalgic point of view, the movie is great. It's funny, it's action-packed, it's corny, all the shit that you would want from a childhood 90s movie, right? And it's a good movie. It is a good movie. As a kid, as an adult, you're like, what the fuck? Did they really think that this was a good idea to make? Probably not, but they made it anyway. But, like I said, the only reason why I was able to get through the movie was because of Snyder and Colt. And them to me, as I was watching it, the ratings for this movie kept going up and down, but they kept bringing it up. So from a nostalgic point, I would say this movie is about, it's definitely a 5 out of 5 from a nostalgic point of view. But from an adult watching it as a 30-year-old adult watching it in 2023, I will say that the only reason why this movie is not a complete failure is because of the villain and Colt. And so I will say this movie is about a 3.5, 4, just based off of them. And like I said, I enjoyed watching it because it was funny that on how corny it was. And I would just had to make I was watching the movie and I just had to hype my nigga Colt up the whole time. So it was an enjoyable. I enjoyed watching it because I was doing unnecessary ass commentary and shit. But I thought the movie was okay. Like I said, I would definitely recommend this movie for any kid to watch. I think this is a movie that should be passed down, that every child, every 90s baby should allow their child to watch because it is a good movie. And they made several other movies after this too that were really good. Despite them having to change out one of the original kids or whatever. But it was the entire film series is a good movie, and I will be doing part 2 at some point. But I enjoyed it. I think it's a good movie. Like I said, if you have not watched it with your kids, if you're an adult, you have not watched this movie with your children, you should watch it. It's a great movie. It's a fun family movie. Shit, that's all I really got, man. It's a good movie. Like I said, it's definitely a nostalgic, fun, action-packed movie. But just is when you watch it as an adult, you realize just all the corny shit and just the fucking, the unnecessary ass shit that's just in this movie. And it is what it is. Like I said, maybe I outgrown this movie. I don't know, but it is a good movie, and hopefully I don't feel this way when I watch the second one. Well, we'll see. Yeah, man, that's all I got. If you ain't seen this movie, or if you are a 90s kid, you watch this movie in your childhood, and you have not watched this with your children now as an adult, you should definitely sit them down, watch this movie, and see it through their eyes, right? Because hearing how my son was reacting to the movie and how much he really liked it, it felt like you were passing something down that was really good. And this is a movie that you should pass down. It's a good movie. Your kids are gonna love it. I loved it as an adult to a certain degree, and and when you're watching it as an adult, you kind of remember what it was like to watch it as a kid. Especially if you have children, it's a pretty good movie. So, yeah, like I said, nostalgic rating, it's 5, 4.5, 5, from 30-year-old watching it in 2023, needing a reason for me to like this movie. I would give it a 3.5, 4. and definitely a watch. So yeah, that's it, man. Thanks for listening. Peace.